Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Continuously Refined. I'm Shayna.
And I'm Sicily.
And in today's episode, we are diving into all things how to get good quality sleep, how
Yeah.
to decrease stress. We're going to get a little update from Sis about
Yeah.
what's been going on. And I think this one is really just going to be kind of an overarching, like, how to live a healthy lifestyle and
Yeah.
really focus on metabolic health and
Yeah.
how our entire body works together and how
Yeah.
all our systems work together.
I'm so excited for this one because I feel like decreasing stress is something that I have to prioritize so much in my life, and that I've if you had asked me in high school if I knew much about, I didn't know anything about it, and my high school experience definitely was super stressful with school and stuff. And so I think that coming into college and having to learn oh, stress isn't a good thing, and here's what it does to my body and here's how I need to react to it has been just so helpful.
Yeah, it really impacts, I think, a lot of our overall health and
Yeah.
our life. And it affects all these other bodily systems that we have, or bodily functions, I guess. So yeah, excited to dive into that. But do you want to start? We were kind of talking about it. Give a
Yeah.
little bit of your update. It's not great, but we're always moving toward better.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'll give my update, which kind of I think will it helps a little bit, I guess, give context to this episode too. But I've talked a lot about how I have very severe anxiety. I'm not on medication or anything for it because I do truly believe that you can heal those things naturally and you can work on them naturally. And so I've really been focused a lot on not necessarily meeting as much with my doctor, but meeting a lot more with my therapist and kind of being like, okay, what is going on with my stomach? Because now we're getting to the point where the blood work's coming back good. Everything looks like it's where it should be at. So I need to kind of look at what is the missing piece here. So we kind of were able to establish two things last time I met with her. The first is psychosomatic symptoms. So people that experience emotions physically rather than mentally, which is essentially what is happening for me. So I'm experiencing all of my anxiety very physically, and so that can be seen through pain in my stomach, through mixing different signals of mixing a hunger signal with my stomach being in pain and things like that.
So you have psychosomatic signals, and
Yes.
then there's another type of signal also,
There's also somatic signals.
somatic and psychosomatic.
Yes. And I'm not positive on the biggest difference, but from what I've learned, somatic is a lot more of your body kind of reacting to mental things, but not as extreme as psychosomatic. Psycho is more you're not even really realizing it's happening.
And it's much
So,
more of a mental thing.
yes. So it's is my body actually experiencing stomach issues? Yes, at times for sure. If I were to eat gluten, obviously it would experience issues. But for the most part, I'm almost not creating them in my head, but kind
Yeah,
of.
you're psyching yourself out
Yes.
and then therefore is causing the pain,
Yeah.
which is so interesting.
Yeah. So a lot of times I'm not even realizing that I'm stressed and I don't connect it to that, which is really hard. People that can have psychosomatic symptoms can often be people that grew up releasing their emotions through physical situations. So people that grew up in very competitive sports, if you were always taught you take out your anger on the basketball court or just different things, I think that I'm not sure if it really applies to me, but I know that growing up as a dancer, we were taught to channel all of our sad emotions, all of our anxiety into dance, right? And so I used to dance 4 times a week, so it makes sense that I would just channel my emotions into that.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure if that connects, but maybe it does in some way. The second one is interoception. I think I'm saying that right. But it's being hyper aware of what's going on inside your body.
And I would say this is something you are so aware of. And I think
Yes.
you do a really good job of taking in, you're constantly taking inventory of how you feel
Yeah.
and then trying to immediately relate that to what did I do today? What did I eat today? How did I
Right.
sleep last night?
Yeah. Which to an extent is almost unhealthy at this
Yeah.
point, because a lot of people that have chronic health issues can struggle with this because they're so used to when they first started dealing with that issue, having to call it out and having to be like, okay, what is this issue? I've been working with my therapist for a while on not having to find a problem. I'm a big problem solver. So constantly when my stomach hurts, I'm like, okay, well, what was the problem? What did I eat that day? How can I solve this pain? How can I
Mm-hmm.
problem solve this situation when it might not even necessarily be that? And also it's well, I ate the same thing for breakfast that I eat every day. So it really like realistically shouldn't be, but in my head I'm like, oh well, maybe I just wasn't supposed to put that in there this morning or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Like I just psych myself out a lot with it. And so I'm just like way too aware of the minute my stomach starts hurting, I kind of go into the fight or flight mode of like, well, I need to solve this something
Yeah.
like even if it's a hunger signal, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, my stomach's kind of hurting. I need to make sure that I'm going to be able to get food, and I just like go into this whole
Yeah.
spiraled cycle.
And it's good that I think like moving forward that you were able to pinpoint these two things because
Yeah.
like you said your blood work did come back so good and
Right.
you're doing so much with specifically like food and exercise and sleep.
Yeah.
So I think it is even though these aren't like great things to be maybe diagnosed with in a way,
Yeah.
it's good to know that now you can take a kind of a different approach to continuing to solve like the stomach issues and stuff.
Yeah. So some of the things that my therapist was like, these are things you can really work on to help solve, which it is such a hard thing to solve. And I still think to an extent that I'm like not great at solving it. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to do that. But you basically, like, I need to expose myself to the pain in order to like reinforce, like, the pain's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, like, exposed to the pain sounds really bad, but it's essentially exposure therapy. And I need to reinforce that my stomach is okay and like will be okay and call out the pain that I'm feeling in my stomach in that moment.
Uh-huh.
And instead of telling myself, like, yeah, I don't know if they can hear the tornado sirens in the background. I feel like it might not pick up, but if you guys can hear the tornado sirens, we apologize.
There's fully tornado sirens going on.
It's also
Yeah.
because it's 1 o'clock, like the first Tuesday of the month or whatever. It's not
Yeah,
these
yeah, yeah.
actual tornadoes for
No.
anyone listening.
False
We're
alarm.
not just ignoring tornado sirens outside.
But where was I going with this? I think it's so hard to like expose yourself to that. And it's almost
Right.
like instead of psyching yourself out about the pain that's going to happen, almost like psyching yourself back in and being like,
Yeah.
okay, let's dive into this and know that I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I've been okay for the last 21 years.
Right.
It's going to be uncomfortable at this moment, but
Yeah.
like knowing that it's going to be okay and changing your mindset about it,
Yeah.
hopefully will help you.
Yeah. I basically need to like remove what I quote unquote see as dangerous from the situation. Like I just kind of view like my stomach hurting or these different things potentially happening as like a like danger. Like so my body kind of like fears it in a way. And another one of my like I can do a whole episode at some point on anxiety, but another one of my like little triggers with anxiety is I'm really good at like avoidance, which I never used to think that I was someone that avoided things that made me anxious. But like in this case, I need to like start thinking about all the things that I do to accommodate my stomach every single day. So the things that I'll do or the way that I'll schedule my days so that it's okay if my stomach hurts and so that I like can lay in bed or I have my heating pad with me or just like all these things. That's essentially me avoiding the pain. And so I'm already creating in my head in a way that I'm going to be in pain. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you're expecting it to happen.
Yes.
And again, it's like a mindset shift.
Yeah.
Expect like not what if everything goes wrong, but what if everything goes good?
Yeah.
And that's so applicable just to life. But
Yeah.
like what if I eat this whole meal and I'm totally fine? Or like what if I wake up tomorrow and I have no stomach pain?
Right.
And that is fully a possibility to happen because
Yeah.
it does happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. But I feel like the days that it does, I don't realize as much as the days that it doesn't. Right. And so that's like another thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all these things basically to say my goal is with all of this is to change how I'm handling and accommodating, but also just how I view my relationship with my stomach on a day-to-day basis.
Good.
So yeah, that's where we're at, guys.
Well, thanks for sharing. And we'll definitely have to stay updated with that. And if other people are kind of experiencing similar things and not just to stomach issues, but just like our mindset in general.
Yeah.
And I think working on changing your mindset and becoming maybe more optimistic, more glass half full can help, in any situation.
Yeah, definitely. So now we can kind of dive into more what we want to talk about for this episode. We really just want to kind of dive into starting with why it's so important to get rest and get good sleep.
And everything kind of going back to that I had touched on at the beginning, but like your overall metabolic health and those things on the cellular level that are happening in our body. And this was something that when I was starting out my healing journey and like with PCOS, I was trying to um, heal my PCOS and also really reverse the PCOS symptoms that I was having. And with that, two of the biggest things that my doctor had recommended were getting good quality sleep and decreasing my stress. And it took me a while and I really had to learn and research and dive into how in the world do those two things correlate to me not having a period. And so it was a really big factor and something that from the beginning my doctor had told me and like tried to explain to me is our bodies go into this fight or flight mode. And so if your body is constantly so stressed out and so imbalanced, my body was undergoing so much stress and not even like life stress,
not even mental,
not mental stress, but just like physical stress. It didn't know how to work and it was creating metabolic dysfunction and imbalance. So pretty much my body was like, we don't feel comfortable reproducing. So you're not going to get a period. So my hormones were out of whack. I wasn't having a period. I wasn't dropping the eggs because my body was like, you are unsafe. You are so unstable. We can't have a baby. And so that is at the very beginning of my PCOS journey where it kind of started. And now just making little changes, I think. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today because I think everyone can implement and should aim for trying to get better sleep.
And I would say I struggle with kind of the same thing of like my body constantly feels like it's in like a dangerous situation. It's never just like calm. And so that's, I think, my doctor has said like that's one of like maybe the last pieces for my hormones and for things to click of just like I'm constantly in that fight or flight response. And so my body just doesn't feel like it's safe to like work as it properly should.
And it's crazy how these little things all coincide and all work together. So it's super important to get this good restful sleep. And those are like two words I think we're going to use a lot, like good quality and fully restful sleep, because sleep is essential for our metabolic function. I wish I knew the percentage, but we spend like over a third of our lifetime sleeping.
Something massive like that.
And it's pretty much this time that you need to recharge. And this time when you're sleeping are so important for those metabolic functions because that's when you're able to undergo recovery. So pretty much when you're in a normal sleep state, your metabolic rate decreases by about 15 to 35%. And that's the number of calories you're burning. So it's pretty much showing like your body is going into this slow down, restful state. And by decreasing and reducing your metabolic rate, you're able to go through your recovery processes and repair the damaged cells. So you can get up the next day and be ready to like conquer the day and be ready to continue with life. And NLM did a study which showed that those who experienced sleep deprivation had increased fasting glucose, reduced glucose tolerance, and decreased their energy metabolism. So this is really cool and something that I had like always struggled with, like glucose and insulin resistance. But our bodies decrease the use of glucose. So glucose isn't getting turned into insulin when we're sleeping. And it talked about the study specifically between the hours, like when you're sleeping. So from like 10 to 4 a.m. And then from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m. is when that glucose is released from the liver so that it can continue then turning the glucose into insulin. So I found that super interesting. But when you're not getting sleep, your body isn't able to take that break and then release the glucose from the liver. And so then it's going through it's not in a normal wave cycle and it doesn't know how to work. And so then you wake up with extremely increased glucose levels and your insulin isn't getting binded and then sent into your bloodstream.
It kind of reminds me of like when we've talked a little bit about like intermittent fasting and like kind of why they say to do that is because then your body has like even more time while you're sleeping to work and go through all those processes and like fully digest your food and fully like allow your body to then do the other processes that it's supposed to do while you're asleep. And so if you're not sleeping, you're not allowing your body to repair any of those functions at all.
So it's super, super important just for overall health. But as we dive in, these metabolic functions, with poor sleep quality, they talk about like chronically being sleep deprived. So constantly not getting that sleep. It is directly correlated to depression and anxiety and other mental disabilities, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And especially they always talk about like sleep is so important in children and why newborn babies take like 5 naps a day and children take naps up until a certain age. It's so important in children because that period of time when you're sleeping is when your body and your brain develop.
Yeah.
And children go through so much brain development in those early stages and early years of life. That's why they need so much more sleep. And it makes sense when you think about it, but
totally makes sense.
we're not taught it. So
yes,
what we're here to do.
So good sleep and what we kind of talked about earlier, like good quality sleep is so important. Like you can just be getting sleep, but if you're not in deep sleeps and you're not getting a good quality sleep, then you're still not really allowing your body to do what it needs to do. So good sleep is considered how long you sleep for. So the sleep duration, which most people should be getting between 7 and 9 hours of sleep.
Yes. And women actually need more sleep than men.
Yeah.
And I don't know the exact hours, but men can like complete all of their, bodily recovery functions in like 7 hours, whereas the average woman needs closer to 9 hours to get on the same page of recovery.
I also saw something the other day that when women's bodies transition into like fall and winter, they also need more sleep. So like if you notice yourself being more tired in the fall and winter months, it's because your body is naturally telling you to relax more. This is your time to rest more. And so that's kind of why we sometimes are more tired in those months too.
Yeah. Taking in just like, I guess we're so earthy. The Earth's natural seasons and it's getting darker earlier and things like that.
Yeah.
And then also, not only good sleep is how long you're sleeping, but the timing of when you're sleeping. Yeah. So you could sleep for 7 hours when the sun is up, or you could sleep for 7 hours when it's dark outside. And that's really, really important. Going to bed around the time when the sun is setting and waking up around when the sun is rising, there's a reason for that. And there's a reason that we need darkness when we sleep and light when we're awake. And it should be directly correlated to when the sun is rising and setting.
Yeah. Going off of that, kind of regulating your sleep, making sure that you kind of have a routine with your sleep. You should be going to bed and waking up around the same time every day if you can, because that really signals to your body the times every day that it's going to be able to reset and that it's going to be able to heal all these functions and do the repairs that it needs to be. If you're changing that all the time, your body's going to naturally be confused and kind of in a state of confusion, and it's going to take it longer to figure out when it needs to do those functions and perform.
Yeah. And the idea and concept of sleeping in is kind of a myth. Yeah. So when we're really tired, obviously we want to quote unquote catch up on sleep and we want to sleep in. But it is so much more beneficial for our bodies to go to bed at 11 and wake up at 8 every single day rather than stay up till 2 and sleep until 11. It is so much more beneficial for our bodies to be on that regular cycle rather than limit your sleep during the weekend and then try to catch up or vice versa.
No, 100%.
So some things you can do. And again, as we've kind of been talking about this, we've implemented and hinted on little things, but there's a lot of changes that you can make to help yourself sleep better.
Yeah.
And again, really regulating that circadian rhythm, getting on a sleep schedule. Like when you were a baby and a little kid, you were on a sleep schedule. Get yourselves back on a sleep schedule. Go to bed around the same time every night and wake up around the same time every morning. Yeah. Is a huge one.
I don't know why, but with circadian rhythm specifically, I always think about like back before there were clocks and before there was like time, right? So like the farmers, like America's first being founded, whatever. I always think about like they were so healthy because one, they lived off the land, which we've talked about, but two, because they didn't have time. Like they woke up when the sun came up, they went to bed when the sun went down and did it again the next day. They had their schedule. They did the same thing every day. And it was because they naturally were just following the rhythm of the earth. Yep. Which is what our bodies are meant to be doing.
What we were intended to do. God literally had a crazy plan. It's like he knew what he was doing and creating us. And now we have we surround ourselves with so much artificial light.
Yeah.
Like the minute the sun goes down, we turn on all the lights in the household. So that's still signaling to our body with this artificial light that it's still daytime. And now we have these extended days because we're sitting in artificial light. And then all of a sudden it's time to go to bed and we shut it off like that rather than the sun slowly going down, signaling to your body that it's time to be going to bed. Something that I also will take like right before I go to bed is magnesium, magnesium supplements, or I put it in my water and I drink that, and that is supposed to help regulate your circadian rhythm. I also will sit in front of my red light lamp before I go to bed. I try to turn off all of the lights in the house like 30 minutes to an hour before I go to bed, and only use lamps or red light. And this is also a really good time to shut off your phones, get off your screens like 30 minutes before you're going to bed, because our phones like signal to our brain and increase our endorphins and get us like want us to continue staying awake.
Yeah, it's that blue light that can really mess with you. I think I always try like to get ready in the dark, like before bed, and like light a candle so that I have a light. If I take a bath or a shower before bed, I normally take it in the dark, which I know sounds really strange, but I personally love it. But it's also just trying to prepare my body for sleep. I'll notice then once I go back into my room and I only have that one lamp on, that I feel so much calmer than if I walked back in and was like, oh, there's this bright light now in front of me, because it's really just signaling again to my body, like I'm not hitting it with this artificial light right before I go to bed.
Exactly. And I've noticed really big changes when doing that.
Yeah.
Like I think within a week of making these changes, you'll notice differences, which is huge. Another thing is watching to make sure you're not eating super close to when you're going to bed, because your body's pretty much supposed to be almost done with digestion before you go to bed. So when you're eating a late night snack 20 minutes before you're about to go to bed, your body's trying to digest and you're not going to be getting restful sleep. As well as when you're eating sugar, you're messing up with your glucose levels right before bed. Sugar you get a sugar spike, a glucose spike, where you're awake, ready to go, and then you're going to crash, which is really bad to set yourself up for good sleep. And also caffeine. So we've talked about like caffeine raises your cortisol levels. So I try not to drink any caffeinated drinks after noon. Just so then, because it takes a couple hours for that caffeine to get out of your body. And so then by the time I'm ready for bed and like winding down in the evenings, there's no caffeine in my body.
That's awesome. I'm realizing I know nothing about caffeine now that you're talking about it, because I've never really had it. But I was like, I didn't even really think about how it takes like a while to get out of your body and like, the effect it could have.
It increases your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. So it's like my doctor said it's fine in the morning if I want to have a cup of coffee, but nothing afternoon, because that's going to keep me awake and stressed out and all the things in the evenings.
I think another thing that can spike your cortisol levels right before you go to bed is people that work out right before they go to bed.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's not good for you. In high school, I was I would go to the gym at like 8:30, like after dinner, and then I'd come home, shower, and go to bed. But working out like wakes up your body and it increases a lot of your hormone levels, including it can spike your cortisol really easily. And especially if you're doing a high intensity workout, if you're doing like yoga or stretching, continue that before bed. That is great. But like those high intensity workouts right before bed just do not signal to your body that you're close to going to sleep.
Yeah, workouts wake your body up. And if you're doing it right before bed, it's going to be hard to fall asleep. And then another thing, cool temperatures, turn your fan on, lower your AC. I think your body, I'm not going to remember the exact temperature, but your body has to drop a few degrees in order to actually fall asleep. It's like 2 degrees or something, but having a cool temperatured room really helps. And then piggybacking off of exercise, having daily exercise also will help you sleep really well. And you notice, I mean, the days that you have a really hard workout, you're a lot more likely to sleep really well that night, because your body has to go through a lot more recovery of recovering the muscles that you tore, and then like getting your heart rate back to normal. So daily exercise can really help you sleep well. Also,
I noticed that one like so easily. Like if I didn't work out that day, it's a lot harder for me to fall asleep because my body's also not physically as tired. And when your body is more physically tired because you worked out that day, it naturally wants to go to sleep, because it's like, okay, we're done for the day. Like we've done what we needed to today.
Yep. And then kind of turning away from good sleep and going into stress. This is something that I kind of knew, like, okay, sleep is going to be good for your overall health. But stress, really? And then my doctor the first time I went to her was like, you need to decrease your stress levels. You need to meditate for 5 days a week and do breath work. And I had never heard of it before, never done anything like that. She's like, sit on your desk with your hands on your table and do breath work for 5 minutes. And I'm like,
It just still makes me laugh because like
WTF?
Shayna and meditation or like lowering stress levels don't belong in the same sentence at all.
No, not at all. But I'm trying to do better,
Yeah.
and I really could implement it a lot more.
Yeah.
But it's super easy, do
Yeah, it is.
like 3 minutes of breath work, and it decreases your stress levels, which then does a million other things that we'll get into.
Yeah. I think that I never realized how much like scientific evidence there was to decreasing your stress. Like, I mean, your stress is your cortisol hormone, which is literally connected to your hormones in your body. Like, it is all so scientifically related. I think stress was this thing that kind of started to be talked about as we grew up, especially with mental health. And like,
Yeah.
I feel like in high school, it was like, oh, well, you don't want to be stressed, which was just funny because they stressed you out so much. But then they were like, but don't be stressed. And so it was just like always this term that was thrown around. So I think it really helps to kind of dive into like kind of why we even get stressed, but then also like the things that you can do that maybe aren't super obvious to like help decrease stress.
And very similar to what we had touched on in about sleep is again that fight or flight response.
Yeah.
And when your body's stressed out, you're in that fight response and that flight response, and you're not going to be able to do the bodily functions properly because again, it's so worried. Your body's so worried about surviving and getting into homeostasis that is its main priority, and it's not focusing on everything else.
Yeah. You can also really put your body in a state of chronic stress. If you are chronically stressed out, you're not doing anything to take care of it. Like, obviously, people live more stressed out lives. If you have a job that is more stressful, if you're a surgeon, things like that, like, those are genuinely going to be more stressful, but there are things you can do to combat that because having chronic stress can lead to metabolic dysfunction, which can lead to then obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and there's like a long list more of things that chronic stress helps play into and can negatively affect.
It's scary how much, like how big of an impact stress can have. Stress also leads to poor sleep. When you're stressed out about something and you lay in bed and you're thinking about it for hours, you're not going to sleep well. And the cycle continues of all the other negative things that fall from that. Stress also leads to inflammation, and that is a really big component of our body's metabolic functions. When our body is inflamed, it's the pathways are blocked, and so it's not going to be doing things. Your body won't be able to do the processes properly. And also with inflammation, it's going to decrease your HDL cholesterol, which is your good cholesterol. So you have HDL and LDL cholesterol. And it also increases your triglycerides, which is, I've had an issue with both of those things. I've had really low HDL cholesterol and I've had really high triglycerides. And those are all metabolically, on the metabolic cellular level that then impact your functions bigger than that. So
it's so cool how your doctors, like our doctors, have been able to point out those things and be like, so that was because of stress. Like you were stressed out, like whatever it is. Like my doctor has gone through my blood work so many times, and on the side, like he writes in stuff and it'll be like stress, stress. And I'm like, I'm not stressed, but like
your body is stressed.
Exactly.
Yeah. My doctor was like, are you stressed out? I'm like, no.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, I have a couple classes here and there, but no. But it's on the cellular level, and my body is stressed out because of all of the imbalances.
Yeah, and the things that it's trying to do that it can, trying to take care of. Another really big thing that my doctor has worked with me a lot on is the vagus nerve. And I honestly, even until this episode, really didn't do a lot of research on kind of the scientific, like what is the vagus nerve in our body. But it was something that he was always like, I want you to work on vagal toning. It'll help with digestion. It'll help with different stuff. So I kind of wanted to talk about what that is. So our vagal nerves carry signals between our brain, our heart, and then our digestive system. They're a key part of our parasympathetic nervous system. And vagus nerve stimulation can help things like epilepsy, if you have reoccurring headaches and migraines, things like depression. And so it was something that he kind of brought up pretty early on and was like, I think that because of the anxiety patterns that you have and the different somatic symptoms that you have, he wanted me to start looking into like vagal nerve toning more. The system controls specific body functions like digestion, your heart rate, your immune system. These functions are all like involuntary, so you can't consciously control them. They're just kind of functions that are going to happen in your body. And you have a left and a right vagal nerve, and those contain 75% of your parasympathetic nerve system's nerve fibers.
Wow.
So that is
It's a
most of your
lot.
parasympathetic
Yeah.
nerve system.
It's a huge part.
Yeah. And the fibers send information between your brain, heart, and then your digestive system, which we talked about earlier. The so there's the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is the one that has that fight or flight response that we've talked about, whereas the parasympathetic one is the one that controls rest and digest functions. So your vagal nerve runs from your brain all the way down to your large intestine. And normally, if you're someone that gets really stressed, like I can like feel where my vagal nerve is, but it starts like right behind your ear on both sides. So there's like a pressure point there that you can sometimes feel if you get super stressed.
Huh.
And there's different signs that your nerve could have damage. So if you have pain, if you have abdominal pain and bloating, if you have acid reflux, changes to your heart rate or changes to your blood pressure, fainting, dizziness, difficulty swallowing, loss of appetite, nausea, long list of things that I think a lot of people struggle with. And so not to say that if you feel nauseous one day, it's your vagus nerve being damaged, right?
Could be.
Chronically, if that's an issue you're struggling with, it's definitely something to look into. When I go to my doctor in person, and he always wants me to come in person if I can, because he uses a vagus nerve stimulator. So it's like this little tiny device that they then like put up like against my neck, and they'll use it on both sides. And I think they hold it there for like maybe a minute, and they press it and they like tell me like to tell them when to stop, in terms of like they press it until I can like feel it like sending these kind of like electric like signals through my body. So like I can kind of just like feel the like vibration on it, and so I'll tell them when it like starts to feel too tight, and then they'll like stop the pressure there, and they'll hold it there for like a minute on both sides. And so it sends the electric signals through both sides of my vagus nerves, which can help to calm down any irregular electrical activity that's going on in my brain.
Okay, so it's almost like what it's seeming like to me is like a pacemaker. Like it's regulating your vagus nerve to the speed and intensity that it's supposed to be going on.
Right. Because mine just runs on overdrive as everything else in my body does.
Yeah.
But there's also other things you can do, and you can definitely look into more vagal toning things to do. But one that my doctor has always recommended me do, and I'm normally good about it for about a week and then I forget about it. So I need to establish it as a habit, because I went back through and was looking at the notes that my doctor has written, and not every single one this is listed.
Okay.
But before brushing your teeth, there's two like things that are really good to do. So before brushing your teeth, gargle with water for as long as you can. That will help to stimulate your vagus nerve.
I guess because it's right there. Yeah. And making that like movement would get like regulate the frequency of.
Yes.
Huh.
And then the second one is brushing like the midline of your tongue in small circles from like front to back for 30 to 60 seconds, or this is going to sound so strange, but until you get like a gentle gag like reflex to it, which I hate doing this one. Like I just can't. It's not for me. But that's another one that is also kind of stimulating that vagus nerve. So those are both two things that I should be doing that I don't do often. But there's other little things that you can do, like singing tone, like helps with your vagus nerve. Humming also helps your vagus nerve. I also saw something earlier today about listening to music helps, which I think is super interesting, because I'm someone that the minute I get stressed, all I want to do is listen to music. Like even like at night, like I'm normally playing music while I'm getting ready for bed. Like I'm almost always listening to music. And especially if you have earbuds in, because that's so close to your vagus nerve, that's helping to kind of tone your vagal nerve as well.
Interesting. When I didn't know any of this. Look at that. You learned something new. Yeah, that's nothing. I've never talked about that with my doctor. So I'm going to bring that up to her next time.
Yeah, you should.
That's crazy. The gargling water one is really like it makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense,
Well,
but I
that's
never would
just
think
it. It's
about
like
it.
the vagus nerve was never something that anyone talked about or taught
Uh-uh.
about, or like in health classes, like did you learn about the vagus nerve and how that like helps your nervous system or negatively impacts your nervous system?
Yeah,
No.
your sympathetic
That
nervous
was
system.
that was never talked about. It was just like, oh, stress. But your vagus system or your vagus nerve is so much connected to your nervous system.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Yeah.
what are some of like the key things that you would say you implement into your life to decrease stress? Because I think you're really good at this.
Thanks.
Yeah, like what are some of like the key things that you think work best for you?
hmm
Yeah.
I think there's a couple. Breath work is a big thing for me. I'm not good about consistently doing it every day. The average person should do it for about 5 minutes every day. Um, but I'm big on like, especially before bed, doing breath work, but also when I feel stressed. When I get stressed or like I get really anxious in the moment, just like taking a second, closing my eyes, and just like taking deep breaths, like you can literally feel your body calm down. And like it reminds your body like, hey, I'm okay wherever I am. Like I'm okay in this moment. Like it can happen like in my own apartment that I get super anxious, super overwhelmed, and then I take a few deep breaths and it's like, okay, wait, I'm okay. Like it's okay. Like take a step back, like it'll be fine. Another thing, if I'm super stressed, journaling is super helpful, even in the way of like writing down, here are the things that I'm stressed about. And I always put them into categories of here are things I can control versus here are things that I cannot control,
Oh, I like that.
which I think is really helpful because when you look at, okay, if I'm stressed about all these things I can't control, then why am I stressed about those things? Because I can't control them. There's
Yeah.
actually nothing I can do for them. So I feel like those are big ones for me. With going kind of back to the breath work one that my doctor taught me about a couple years ago is there's like different forms of breath work.
Yeah.
But the psychological sigh is the one that is most proven to calm your nervous system because you release the most carbon dioxide throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you take like one deep inhale, almost to like where it's you inhale as much as you think you can, and then you take a baby inhale more,
Mm-hmm.
and then a super long exhale. Your
Okay.
exhale has to be longer than the two inhales in
Mm-hmm.
order for it to really work. But if you do that a couple of times, you'll notice how like serene and like calm your body feels.
Just like that quickly.
Yeah.
We do it in yoga.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, inhale and then let me hear your exhale. Like
Uh-huh.
breathe out and
Yep.
you're like it totally I think like changes your mindset and the way you feel.
Yeah. Another good form of breath work is the box breathing method. This was when I
Mm.
first started getting introduced to breath work. This is the easiest one I think to start with is you inhale for 4, you then hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then you hold that for 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're just kind of making that box. This one's also really good if you're someone that your mind's kind of on overdrive a lot because you're having to like envision that box and
Mm-hmm.
think
Count.
about, yes, I'm holding this for 4. Now I'm doing this for 4.
Mm-hmm.
And so it automatically takes your mind off of whatever else you were like worried or thinking about.
Yeah, that's definitely a good one to start with.
Yeah. One that I learned in high school, I think from my old therapist maybe, but was I like had really bad test anxiety
Mm-hmm.
and my therapist was like blow on your thumb. Your thumb has its own pulse, and if you blow on your thumb, you're activating that vagus nerve and calming your nervous system. Um, and so it's a super easy way if you're stressed, like out in public and you don't want to like close your eyes and like do deep breaths.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a super easy way to just be like, okay, like I would do it before I take any test of just like, okay, I'm just going to blow on my thumb. Again, it's something that like you're thinking about. So you're not necessarily then thinking about whatever was in your head, but you're also calming your vagus nerve and nervous system at the same time.
Interesting. I haven't heard that one before. Haven't heard that one before. I think also something that I do, like yoga. I love doing yoga because I'm getting a workout in. I guess I'm also working on breath work, slowing down. A good walk, like in the morning to get your sunshine, or in the evening after dinner time. You're also able to get like that natural light. But it's super relaxing, which is good. Listening to like music, praying, and then grounding is such a good one. And it has so many benefits. So take your shoes off and go stand in the grass outside. It is so good for you. And it balances the pH levels in your body, which also helps decrease the stress.
Yeah.
And like the stress throughout your whole body, not
Mm-hmm.
just feeling it mentally.
Yeah.
But helps decrease with inflammation too.
Mm-hmm. I think meditation is another big one. I'm not as good with meditation as I used to be. But when I do feel like I need meditation over a certain topic, I'll like just look up a YouTube video of
Mm-hmm.
like meditation for anxiety related to school or whatever, like different things. There's also really awesome apps for guided meditation. So you can use Headspace, the Calm app, Insight Timer, are three that I recommend. There's also, I think, doing a meditation where you're kind of sitting with yourself and you're thinking of like your five senses. So you sit there and you're just kind of like, what do I see? What do I feel? What like smells can I smell? What can I taste? Things like
Hmm.
that, because it's like you're having to just focus on those thoughts and
Yeah.
not whatever else you were really stressed about before.
Mm-hmm.
I also have, which I brought with me. So if you're not on the YouTube video, join us in the YouTube video. But I bought this when I think I first started working with my doctor. It's called a heart math. So this is like the box that it comes in and like what it looks like. But it's this little device that plugs. I don't know if I've ever even showed this
No,
to
I've
you.
never seen this before.
Have I told you about this?
No.
Oh, okay. This bottom part like plugs into your phone, and then this part you connect to like your earlobe, so like where kind of your
Uh-huh.
earring like is. And this little part, I don't know, you clip on your shirt or something if you feel the need for it. But you it helps you with breathing and it measures your heart rate variability and like your
Oh
heart
yeah.
rate. And so I like looked up exactly what the heart math says online. But it says the heart math app translates your heart rhythm patterns into a real-time coherence score that you can use to build your heart coherence.
Huh.
So when I first started doing it, which on the YouTube I can throw up some pictures of
Yeah.
it, but I don't do it as consistently as I used to. Like I literally opened it to use the other day and I hadn't done it since 2022, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it my coherence score has gone up so much. So like you can see that when I was first doing it, I was getting like 1.5, like maybe 3. When I most recently did it, I got close to 5 in a
Oh,
coherence score,
okay.
which is awesome. And the app that it plugs into is called Inner Balance, and you can there's like 3 different screens you can use while you're using the app.
Hmm.
So you're like breathing while you're doing it, and you can
Uh-huh.
do it for maybe 5 minutes. But one of them's like the circle, so you like inhale as the circle opens,
Oh yeah.
exhale as the
Uh-huh.
circle closes, and then another one is just like this like calm naturescape that's moving, and you can see the heart rate like going at the top, and so
Yeah.
you want it to be as like smooth as it can.
Uh-huh.
And I'll literally notice while I'm doing it, I'll like my mind will like wander at one
Yeah.
point, right? And when my mind wanders, I can see the like then like little like divots in
That's
the like
crazy.
whatever the graph.
Yeah.
Which is really like interesting to see. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I'll do it and like kind of not make myself really anxious, but like without breathing just to kind of compare it to like
Hmm.
what the difference is. But its goal is to just teach you then how to be able to do that on your own. So I feel
Yeah.
like now I do it with the heart math
Uh-huh.
most like at night before I go to bed, but I can also do it now on my own where
Yeah,
I'm
you
like,
can see
yes,
because you were able to see it,
yep,
now you can do it on your
you're
own.
like learning the patterns of
Huh.
it.
That
Yeah.
is so interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, thanks for sharing.
You're welcome.
That's super, super cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to hit on anything else?
We talked about journaling a little bit. I think that journaling, kind of as we said, like you can start with prompts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like even on Instagram Reels on TikTok, it's super
Yeah.
easy to find like journaling prompts of like answer this question. There's just like scientific evidence of like putting pen to paper,
Mm-hmm.
how good that is for your brain in general.
Yeah.
You can also just write about your day. That's a super easy one to start. When
Uh-huh.
I first started journaling, that's kind of what I turned to at first. And there's also, I brought all of these with me too. Okay, let's see if I don't think I brought, yeah, my other journals in my room, but there's also a 5 minute journal that's
Oh,
literally $8 on Amazon.
yeah.
And I know I've seen so many reels, like so many people have this, but inside of it, it asks you like every single day, it gives you like a little quote. So, like, if I were to be doing it today, it says, remember what you forgive, you heal, and when you let go, you grow. And you like write the date at top, and then you write 3 things I am grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
three things that would make today great, and then daily affirmations. So, like, I am whatever. And then you come back at night and you write down three amazing things that happened today and how could I have made today even better.
Wait, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
I love that. And
Um,
like it really changes your perspective.
it changes your mentality
Yeah.
so quickly. And I think it's super helpful because, especially if you're an anxious person or you're a worrier and
Hmm.
that's what's causing your stress, you can't be grateful and anxious at the same time. Your
Mm.
body cannot physically feel both those emotions at the same time.
Hmm.
And so, through this, you're having to give gratitude in whatever you're going through. Even if it's something hard, you're like, you know what? I'm grateful at the end of the day that I got through whatever that was.
Yeah.
So, I think that that's really awesome. I kind of think I don't think I put this on here, but reading is one that can decrease
Yeah.
your stress. Whether it's just reading a book to get your mind off of whatever's going on in your life.
Hmm.
But I also have these two that this was one I got kind of recently, but I got kind of a while ago, but then I picked up again recently.
Oh yeah.
Called Notes on a Nervous Planet. It's like
Mm.
very short little excerpts, and some of them are just like little poems. But
Hmm.
that book's been awesome. And then this is one that we all love,
Yeah.
but The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry,
It's
which
so
kind of
good.
goes back to our whole slow down thing.
Yeah.
The number one way that you can calm your nervous system and decrease stress is to literally just slow down.
Yep. Slow down life. Like
Like,
get rid of the extra things that you
yeah,
don't need and like try not to speed when you're driving and
yeah,
try to fully stop at a stop sign. You're like, geez, I am just rushing through life.
yeah. It can, like, I even remind myself that, like, when I'm doing the dishes, of like, just take a second. Like, you don't have to rush through the dishes. Or,
Yeah.
like, when I'm like leaving to like go to your house before we walk to school, I'll be like rushing down the stairs and whatever. And it's like, wait, just take a second
I
because
know.
I'm not running late. Like, I'm never
No.
running late. So it's like, that like is just like such a good reminder of like just take a second, slow down,
Yeah.
because it's that fight or flight mode that like if you're
Hmm.
constantly rushing, you're just putting your body in that mode.
And I think our society and like in the life that we live today,
Yeah.
you're supposed to be go go go, and
Yeah.
you're constantly supposed to be doing anything, and you're supposed to do X, Y, and Z before you get to work, and then you're supposed to work your butt off all day, and then go home and do X, Y, and Z. But that's not the way that life was intended, and I
Yeah.
think that's why we do have a population that's so stressed out, and a population with all of these chronic anxiety, depression disorders. I think is a like result of the rushing life that we think we need to live.
Yeah.
So I love that book.
Yeah. I would say that kind of overall, if you struggle with stress, the number one things that I would say, one, the heart math is really expensive, but investing in that has definitely helped.
Hmm.
It'll track your heart rate variability to, oh, so that's another thing, is tracking your heart rate variability.
Mm-hmm.
That will objectify stress, and you can kind of watch your stress resiliency and how
Oh.
good you are at adapting and responding to stressful situations, which I personally am very bad at doing. But if you have a high heart rate variability, that's a good thing. If you have a lower heart rate variability, then your body is less resistant to change and to stress.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fun fact. Fun fact. I feel like kind of just overall wrap up, and I'll probably start to get on a tangent, but just understanding, like I wish more people understood the way that our bodies worked and the way that our different body processes function. Like if we understood why we need sleep and the effects that bad sleep has on our health, or why like the effects that stress has on our health, and the way that also all of these things correlate together, that when you get good sleep and you're eating a good diet and you're exercising regularly and you're decreasing your stress and slowing down your life, like the massive implications and changes that it's going to have to your day-to-day life and your overall health are insane.
Yeah.
And rather than, oh, I have a headache or I have anxiety, and then the doctor's just going to throw a prescription at it because that's one symptom. Like, let's look at the overall picture and let's see how all of these things work together and come together as one. And you're going to be so much happier, healthier, like overall as a person if you make these changes. And so that's my soapbox for the day. I hope you enjoyed it.
No, 100%. It's so true.
Yeah, just craziness. So hopefully this episode kind of got to bring some light into that, get to learn a little bit more. I know I definitely did, on like sleep and stress and how they're all correlated.
Yeah. As always, if you guys have any questions, reach out to us. We post every other Wednesday at noon Central Time. Follow us on Instagram at Continuously Refined. And we hope that you guys continue to come along with this journey as we refine our lives. Bye.
Bye.